So if you have a specific question about any jiu-jitsu stuff, let us know. I have Ryan Villalobos, black belt, and Rudy Canales, and a bad guy at jiu-jitsu, which is me.
That's not true.
So you guys want to know any technique, any questions about any leg lock stuff, anything really? I'll be the dummy, and you can watch them practice on me.
Ivan, what year did you start jiu-jitsu?
Debatable.
Debatable?
I think it's been 8 or 7 years. First time I went into a jiu-jitsu place was at Paragon, one class. I don't know who the brown belt was, but kicked my ass the first day. And I said, I'm coming tomorrow. And it took me a year to come back. So I started jiu-jitsu 8 years, but I've been practicing 7.
Nice.
So started with Rudy.
The journey's been good to us. It's been fun, been amazing. Met some really cool people. Met Ryan a little later on down the road. It's funny, we started at the same school, kind of around the same time, but we never met. And then we met as purple belts at Cooper's. And I met Ivan. I think I've known you longer than I have Ryan, I believe.
Really?
But yeah, because I think I met you when I was a purple belt as well. Yeah, from Cooper's.
Probably. Yeah, been at Cooper's for a while.
Both really good friends of mine and good people, and been an amazing journey to roll and learn and just build knowledge with these guys because they love the game. So, yeah.
And we're bored as hell, so we decided to do something like this.
Instead of rolling with Bob.
Yeah.
Oh. I think Josh donated all those keys.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was big.
Oh, cool.
Keys over there.
Oh, yeah, but they're giant. I won't be able to fit on them.
Yeah.
Christopher says, rolling toe hold, scramble to calf slicer. Oh, calf slicers. We've been doing that a lot here lately.
A rolling toe?
Yeah.
Oh,
Run, stand up while one leg in between. Ooh, that's...
Oh,
yeah, but from stand up, one leg in between, rolling toe hold.
Oh, if I'm in your guard?
I believe so.
Standing in your guard?
Yeah.
I'm envisioning someone with back control. Is that what he's talking about? Like when somebody's behind you and you roll in for a rolling toe hold of some sort?
Scramble to calf slicer. So rolling toe hold for one. I think scramble to calf slicer is second. From stand up while one leg in between. Can you be a little bit more specific, Chris? Those damn calf slicers are awesome. Hey, Mallory.
Oh, Mallory's there?
It's like y'all's talk show. So. It's like Oprah for dudes. It's like The View, but. Rolling toe hold. You know how to set up a rolling toe hold?
I can try. I mean, the only way I kind of know with toe holds, I mean, really, actually, toe holds are everywhere. I try not to do toe holds just because they're kind of
I do them.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're super high percentage. They're easy to get into. Anytime I kind of set up a toe hold, or if I'm thinking it's going to be a rolling kind of thing, is I'll set it up to where I'm kind of going to the inside. So I have one knee on the inside, and then the same side hand grabs the toes here. And that's as I'm grabbing the toes, I may try to pass, I may try to do something, or I don't know. But this is the actual grip that I'm going to use. So it's not like telegraphing when I'm doing this stuff. So what I'll do is I'll cup the toe, and then I'll start slicing across. It can be a step, but I typically like to just kind of go across like here and kind of go away from him, because I'm not too worried yet about controlling the knee. I'm more concerned at that I'm going to control the knee as I roll, right? So here, and I come across. So I'm going to cut under, and then as I get here, I think there's two rules of thumb here. I always teach kind of like to squeeze the toes, but I think this is also valid depending on kind of your angle, like no thumb. But my first grip was always usually with the thumb. So that being said, sometimes with this particular angle, I'll switch here, and then I do the motorcycle grip. As I fall, I kind of go away from him a little bit, and then I get here. Now, I actually anticipate him rolling. If he stays here, he's going to get tapped. So he rolls, and as he rolls, I figure for my legs, and then I crunch down. And I do like a crunch in. That's typically how I set it up from guard.
That's also hurting my knee at the same time.
Yeah, well, because the torque is already happening, right? I'm already torquing down. Like this thing, like when you, instead of just grabbing like a toe hold, I'll grab the toe hold, and then I'll turn my wrist down like a motorcycle. Same with Kimuras and things like that.
It's kind of interesting because it looked like at one point, just from my angle, it looked like he was using a little bit more than his forearm strength. Because, you know, sometimes like especially when you're rolling with guys that are really flexible on the feet, it's really hard just to use your wrist strength. So from the motion, it looked like what Ryan was doing. He actually pulled it down this way, and it gives you more leverage and more power, more finishing power on the foot locks. Whereas instead of just using your forearm and your wrist strength, I mean, sometimes it's really hard to finish. I've been in those situations where I'm cranking, and I blow out my arms just because I can't finish the toe hold because somebody's so flexible. But that little motion that, you know, is bringing everything in nice and tight, and you know, the guy's not able to escape as easy. So
yeah, just like a motorcycle grip, right? It's like you're actually accelerating on a motorcycle.
Yes.
Turning your wrist. I don't
either.
Turning your wrist in with the toe actually moves in.
I think sucking it in too. Like if you suck it in, you generally don't want to have it out, right? Because if you're extended, it's going to be weaker. Yet what Rudy was saying was like, that is true. Your hands are going to be, your forearms are going to get tired, right? Especially with flexible people. So you always want to bring it to the chest, and that way you can use kind of your chest and your core to kind of crunch in if you need it. But you should always try to isolate the knee. I mean, you do have to isolate the knee as well. One of the things that always happens with me is guys will try to slap on toe holds in that same position, and I'm already rolling with them, right? So like if Ivan comes up and he puts on a toe hold, it doesn't matter where, boom, like he said, and he starts to go or whatever, like I'm already like rolling. You see how like I'm already gone, I'm rolling with him because there's no control of the knee. Simply I would just come up and back. He'd have to, I mean, it'd be a little, you know, chess match there, and timing and all that comes into play. But understanding too, like if I'm defending the toe hold, then, you know, as long as he has to control my knee, this guy slaps toe holds on me all the time, and I don't get too concerned about it unless my knee is being isolated, and I'm like, uh-oh, this is a problem, because I can always roll through. But rolling through, you got to be careful, because sometimes you'll think, oh, I'm gonna roll through, and you blow out your leg. So
yeah, the more this is my opinion. I think like when you roll for toe holds, when you go for rolling toe holds, there's a lot of space involved, and that gives the higher percentage of guys that can escape, you know, during that scramble, during that movement. So they're tricky to catch, man. But you know, once they're locked in, it's tight, you know. But I have, you know, just from experience and going for rolling toe holds especially, there's a lot of space in between, you know, while you're jumping for it, and then the guy is like framing, and then he's pushing out or shrimping, and sometimes that's enough just to kind of get out of danger. You know, there's one, I think what Christopher was addressing earlier is if he's talking about like when you're doing a rolling toe hold, and then there's the opportunity for the calf slicer, because you have that from the back. You know, you're like the one rolling. Can I use your idea? The one rolling toe hold that I learned was from an old Jean-Jacques Machado book, and he's scooping. Yeah, it's kind of like I have like somewhat in a combat base, and I have this leg here, and I scoop this leg that's hooking, right? I just roll. I hit my left shoulder. Oh, I'm sorry, my left shoulder. As I hit my left shoulder, I reach for the toes, grab it, and then I have this leg to pull him, to force him to his stomach. But here in this situation, I have a toe hold here. But look at the positioning. He's on his stomach, you know. So now you could easily transition over to some calf slices if you need to. If I have to sit up, I still have the other leg here to control. I have a calf here. I have my shin here, and the back of his calf like this. So that way, I could sit up, control the hips, and then I'll start sitting up for the calf slicer that way. So there's those things that you could play with just from him being on his stomach, which is ultimately the goal when you're going for those rolling toe holds. When you scoop that far leg, you know, it's the opposite leg that you're actually attacking.
And also now with the leg lock game, Ryan and Alex have a video that I put up there on IG Live or IGTV for the funny hole, right? Which is almost ending up in a full calf slicer, but it's from somebody escaping the heel hook or the heel hook setup, and then you end up in either a calf slicer situation or a funny hole that sets up a little bit more more entries.
And I think a half guard too, if you want to go for rolling toe holds, that's probably will bring your percentage up a little bit higher for control. Because if Ivan has me in half guard, I mean, it's very simple. You're here, and we're trying to do whatever pass, but you always have this here. But the cool thing about this is I'm already kind of connected, right? I'm not like far back. I'm already on the inside. The one thing I always tell guys you got to be careful about when you do this, you know, if you do go for this kind of stuff here, is that when I do throw my leg, he can actually toe hold me before I get to toe hold him. So if I go here and then I start to go, boom, he catches me. He's gonna get me first. And the reason why is because I can't roll anymore because my leg is trapped on the other side. And I can't turn and I can't run. So he's actually has an advantageous position.
And if I catch that toe hold, I learned it from Destiny. Your foot is done.
Yeah.
It'll break your pinky toe and the one next to it. So be careful with that half guard.
Takes a year to heal the pinky toe.
Yeah, you kind of end up like in a little 50-50 situation.
Yeah.
Where it's like, who's more flexible, you or I?
Yeah.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
My fingers are all weird.
I'm not willing to test that fine line.
I'm definitely never the more flexible one.
All right, what else, guys?
Never got toe holds.
Wrist locks.
Wrist lock. I will do some wrist locks.
So I've been doing a lot of wrist locks lately. I've been trying to toe hold Ryan before this quarantine started, and I can't. Very, very unsuccessful. Because I know I can't heel hook him, so I switch my grip, and then he ends up catching my back somehow. That's what's been happening.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've been playing a lot around now with Ivan, kind of with the back take from leg lock positions. The one thing I've kind of learned past few months, but it was really I learned too when I got a chance to roll with Craig Jones. Kind of that was really interesting for me too. I've been thinking about that a lot. Was he was always attacking my back when I was going for leg locks, and I felt that, right? I felt him keep attacking my back, but I never realized my back was that exposed when I was going for it. But he was actually kind of helping that position. So basically, what and I kind of do the same thing. I'll usually give a guy my leg, right, just to kind of engage that. It's kind of just kind of baiting him out there. But I don't do that. Just I always watch my knee line, of course. But even when I'm sitting down or something, I'll throw my leg out. I do this all the time. I'll throw my leg out there, and it seems like I never teach this, right? But the more comfortable you get with leg locks, and the more you understand where you can go, where you can move. Like I already understand I need to get rid of this, and that releases a lot of pressure. I can open his knee, that releases a lot of pressure. I'm not too worried about his grip because I can always turn and move. Now, the one interesting thing that happened with my roll was he pretty much stepped in. He just stepped in, and I went through to this position. And of course, guys, better you get, you're going to have good base. So you're going to kind of go down and really good base right here. I couldn't knock him down from just a basic Ashigarami position because Ashigarami position is a great position, but it's a good transition position to other stronger leg lock positions, in my opinion. Because simply just doing this can get rid of an Ashi. So what I decided to do was go for a double outside Ashi, which is what I rarely do. But when I went for the double outside, it kind of locks the hip in, right? And I was like, okay, now we have to engage in this leg lock battle because he kept shucking this leg off and he was moving around. And so I was like, all right, fine. I'm going to upgrade it. I'm going to go to double outside Ashi. I was a little concerned about my feet. I don't particularly prefer this position a lot because there's a lot of stuff. Now we end up in this battle. But one thing I noticed, he wasn't attacking my feet, which is what I was expecting. And I was bridging like that. And I was trying to get him over. He just kind of went down. He kept kind of coming up more and more and more over top. And one thing I know is he took his hand and he grabbed my hip here and he kept tilting me this way. and he kept just pulling, and it didn't matter what grip I had. As a matter of fact, my grip on his leg was kind of, it was non-existent really. It was just kind of like because at this angle, it's kind of weird, right? I can't, we turn this way.
And you don't have the leverage to finish.
You don't have the leverage. And even if I'm failing to get the back, it's easy just to like shut this leg down. And then I can still pass, right? There's no leg lock, right? Submission here.
Your foot is planted.
Yep. I'm heavy on this foot. If I lift it, yes, then he'll start getting into heel hooks. But I'm heavy, and it makes it even heavier because I'm lifting his hip and I'm putting more weight on my leg. So that was what was happening, because I couldn't move his foot because all my weight was on top of his leg. So I was like, oh shit. But as soon as I realized that, he was scooping, and then he sat and he slid under here and he kicked his legs, boom, straight. And as soon as he kicked his legs, he was already scooping this and pulling to the back, going to control. So I don't know why I kind of went into that, but I think it was because just the whole, taking the back.
Yeah.
I've been playing around a lot with that and putting myself in danger. And I'll get caught, I'm sure, especially guys that train a lot of train leg locks, by just sticking my foot out there. But it is interesting, the tipping motion, like tipping the person over. And I think I can do that from, even sitting down. I can start attacking the back, which I kind of already do anyway, like a Berimbolo kind of thing.
We have Zach Marks. He is asking what favorite takedown. What are your favorite takedowns? I can share one, and you guys can share one. But one of my favorite takedowns from, I'll just do guard because I'm a guard guy, and I like to claim that.
And
You just have like one leg in between. I like to do like the old like what they used to call back in the day like the koala guard, where you hug somebody's leg like you're kind of hugging a tree, right? And so I like to come in. Well, first of all, before I even go there, the movement that we do to get to our feet from guard when we're sitting down on our butts, and then we're shrimping, and then we use this leg right here to scoop it back and to get on our feet, right? That's like the technical stand movement. And so I'm going to be using that same movement to scoop this leg that's in the middle of my legs, because he wants the inside position to pass my guard, and he's at a very advantageous position here. So for me to stop that before he starts getting this knee really low for a knee slice, because once he gets past a certain point, then I'm in danger, and then he gets past my guard, right? So before that even happens, I have to get quick. I have to hurry up and decide. If I'm on my back, I got to sit up quick, hug, get my head nice and tight. I glue my head and neck to his knee so that way I can't get guillotined very easily. So I come here, hug, with this hand that's posted over here. I keep this down for balance. I use this leg here. That's my right leg. I'm scooping his leg that's in between. I scoop it, and I get up here. Now he can stand back up. Even if I have control, if I'm here, I have it. My head's a little low. It's still kind of glued to his knee, right? So I've heard it, and I've heard different people tell me like, dude, don't keep your head that low in single legs, which is fine. I've been taught two different ways to do this takedown. At the end of the day, it's like some people call it running the pipe. Some wrestlers call it running the pipe. And I've done it with my head glued to his knee, and I've done it with my head up. They both work. And so if I'm up, let's start again from this position. If my head is here, if it's low, all I do is step this leg back, drag him down to the mat, and I'm ready to pass his guard here with one leg, with my leg in the inside position. If you want to do it with your head up, it will look something like this. My head is kind of like underneath his armpit and his chest, and this might make it a little bit harder for someone to guillotine you as well. Step this leg out. You could also do it this way, where I switch hands, where I switch here. I use this hand here, come inside. You'll see Nate Diaz using that takedown a lot in UFC. Those are my favorite takedowns from guard anyway. So hope that helps out. I'm gonna just run the entry one more time where he's inside. I hug. Well, let's just say I'm in guard here, right? Sit up, scoop, and now I'm here. And that's really the ultimate goal, that I just want to be able to get to my feet pretty quick from that position. So, Zach, that's one of my favorites. Hope that helps. I'm sure these guys have their faves.
Yeah, man, I got a lot that I like, but the ones that I kind of play around with, well, I like singles, doubles, anything that leads me to a single, a double, arm drags, duck unders, underhooks. snap downs, ankle picks, and uchimatas are kind of my go-tos for takedowns. I don't do a lot of like judo hip throws and stuff like that. I'm really usually just looking at his foot placement or how we're tying up. So one of my favorite ones I've been using lately is if we kind of get this like basic tie up and we're like this, right? Where I can get like an underhook, right? Because this is pretty, I mean, we're tying up right here or whatever. You know, if I get an underhook, that's great. But really what I'm looking for is to get him to step. Whether that means me pulling him to get a step or whether that means me having an underhook and like dropping and pulling him to step. And all I'm really looking to do is catch this leg. I'm still above him. I mean, technically, I always like to be lower than the guy, right? But for this particular one, I don't really care too much about that. I really care about the foot. So I'll pull, and then I shoot in I do like a side kick with my foot. I come in, and I do a side with my foot, okay? But once I'm here, then it's as simple as me just turning the corner and pressuring in, and we go down. Now, what I started to realize was they don't always step with that foot. So sometimes I'll take the overhook side. So if I'm here and I get like an overhook, right, and we're tying up just like we always do, we're moving around, I'll see this foot out here. I used to kind of do this stuff, right? And that works, right? Just kind of driving through maybe. But I started incorporating my leg, right? So all I'll do is I'll get really tight. I tie it tight with them. I pull. And as soon as I see the leg, I go to the outside and I scoop it and we go down, okay? It's real simple. I don't like, crazy, takedowns and stuff. Anything that'll lead me to a single, whether it be like an arm drag and him reacting and then me going to a single or, me doing a duck under or whatever, all those are acceptable too. So those are two. The one last one that I get probably the most, which is very basic, is just like an ankle pick. I mean, I get this almost on everybody. Because we'll get here. And when I go for my takedowns, I'm constantly changing them. I'm usually, sometimes I'll be down here, like my knees actually on the ground, right? But my head placement's always good, right? I always try to get the inside position if I can. But really what I care about is my level change with the ankle pick, okay? My tie-up, I will always try to get the head, the back of the head. And the only reason why I care about that is I want to get here and I want to get a snap down to get him killed. And notice I come down. Like I'm not like this and reaching. I'm not doing that. I'm actually bringing everything down. So that's a big difference because if he stays up with his head, like me trying to pull him down, it's not as strong if I just drop my weight down, right? I'm dropping my weight down, so he comes down. He's forced to come down. And I actually learned that from going like bigger dudes. And I was trying to snap them down, and they're just like they have this big ass neck, and they're just like doing this stuff. Yeah, they're not moving. So I'd hang on their neck. I get here, and then I would drop, boom, so that I can get here. Yeah, it doesn't matter what he does at this point. I'm already lined up, and it's a simple grab. When I grab the heel here, I'm not grabbing for a single. Like I'm not going behind the knee. I'm actually grabbing, cupping the heel, right? So I cup it, and then I turn to the left, right, in a circular motion. I already have a setup, a pass setup. Boom, slide, and then we pass. That's kind of how I do I'm sure there's a million ways to do an ankle pick, but that's something I've kind of done on my own since I started pretty much.
Ankle picks are high percentage, man, especially in jiu-jitsu.
They are, and they seem to be. I think I started using them a lot too because I felt like I wasn't giving up too much. I felt safe. Yeah. Kind of, if it failed, I can always back out, or I can always go for a single or try for a double or something. Like it wasn't like a failed hip throw. Right. Like I go for a hip throw, I'm like, oh shit, and then I get right. Dude, and then it's like devastating.
I could actually build on what he just shared with the ankle pick, and actually from a student who a VOW student. His name's Josh, wrestler Josh. I don't know his last. I mean, I know his last name, but I can't think of it at the moment. But I call him wrestler Josh because he's just a phenomenal wrestler, phenomenal grappler, and he showed me this one little trick that I've been having a lot of luck with in training. Can I use you where, and it's not like take away the fact that I'm not going to use any specific snap down per se, but I just have control over here. And I always like to get my head on the collarbone and I control a wrist. This is just out of habit. I don't necessarily have any specific setups from this control. I just like the control because I think of like, when I think of this, I think of collar sleeve in gi, right? If I'm grabbing a collar, I'm grabbing a sleeve. I think of the same thing here. I got my head on his collarbone. I'm gonna drag and get that step here. So when I reach for this ankle pick, he steps this one back, and here I go for that one. And then I have that to fall back on. And since I've been shown this move, I've been doing it literally to everyone that I'm sparring takedowns with, and I've had a tremendous amount of luck with it. And I just kind of figured I'd show that to you guys because he was already on an ankle pick topic. And anyway, I'll do it one more time. Right here, he's playing around, doing the little dance. Then I pull, reach for this one here. He steps that one back and reach in. I pull. One of them, another detail that Josh shared with me is that he has his forearm on his collarbone the entire time. I'm connected here the entire time. Like there's no, there's not a time where I'm not using that as a frame because I'm also using that as pushing power to get him on the mat. So, yeah, hope that helps, guys.
So I'm not a wrestler by any means, and I'm typically on my butt anyway. But if I ever get somebody down, it's going to be a little gentler, I guess. So the way I do my single legs, right, same thing. I'm low, and I try to catch a single leg. If they allow me to get here, I'm just going to come up, and I'm going to get my ear right here by his rib, and then I'm going to switch my level here. So my hips are right in the middle. Right? And when I come in here, what I do is I just switch my hips and create a little stool for him to sit down. Boom. And this allows me to go here.
I like
so
that.
It's very simple because everybody kind of trips on it. But here, I come for the single. And, I mean, as much as I train single and double legs, they're not high percentage for me. So I come in here, and then I just change level back up, and I get a gable grip here, right? Once I get a gable, it's natural for my head to kind of come here to the side and back of his ribs. And then I bring myself to the middle. Once I do this, I kind of bring him down a little bit. So there's a little bend in his knee. Once I do that, my hips switch. I get my knee down, and I just bring him down here. Boom. And then I get most of my weight here, and I try to come in here to get the back. So more of a jiu-jitsu takedown.
I like it. There's like that leg that he puts behind my legs kind of closes some gaps there because typically when people get that position, they use their foot on the outside of the other foot. So let's say I have his back, and then I kind of use this foot here to block, so that way I pull him down and we go there. But then sometimes when I do that, depends on how good of a scrambler they are, they can fucking get out of that. They can escape that movement because two reasons. There's a lot more space, and there's also the impact that I go through when I'm pulling him down. So sometimes I can lose a position just if I'm rolling with a really athletic guy. So anyway, this takedown seems to take away a lot of that.
Yeah, and cool. The reason why I like it is because it leads you right at least to the side control, right? Because if they're good, they're gonna break off and we go right to the back, and then you end up on side control. And then from there, I go to my bicep scissors.
Nice. Big. I like it.
It's much more controlled. That's hip switch.
Yeah, dude.
Do you ever go for a low single from that position instead of ankle pick, Rudy? Do you go or Ryan? Do you go for a single leg rather than an ankle pick?
Yes. Yeah, you absolutely can. I mean, you go here like two with my single. So when I pull here and I get to this and then I drop, boom, and I get to this here. It's an easy. I will always try to get to the outside. That's one thing that I'll try to do is I'm going to try to get my body to the outside of him. The reason why I just think for me, it opens up more things for me to do. This is my jiu-jitsu. I want to go to the back. Right? Just an idea. I don't want to be in general. And I know it's not bad by any means. If you go the other direction, it's still going to be really good. But I'll always try to get out of the way, right? So when I'm here and I go for the pick and it doesn't work, it's an easy. Let's say I just can't get it. It's an easy just to hook around here, right? I can actually just hook, and then I press into him as I'm standing up. He's going to stand up too, but I'm going to come to the outside. And now this is really bad because one, I can scoop them up. You know, usually what I'll do, I'll be nice and I'll just kind of walk them back, do a little trip with my foot, and they'll fall. Just circumvental rotation. If I really want to be silly, I'll just Well, I'll There's a lot of different ways. Sometimes you can pull into and then pull them up and just make them slide, right? Or you get here and get the double and then start lifting them up. And the idea is to get the leg on the shoulder and dump them down. I've actually had a guy, I forget who it was, but they were like doing the splits and it was on my shoulder. And so that's when I started taking in a circular motion and then boom, and then doing the trip with the foot that's just kind of hopping. Okay, but yes, absolutely. It's an easy transition to get to the single.
Nobody's going to look as gracious as me falling, though.
And a stylist.
You would have more control if you don't tie up ear to ear. Eh? And the collar tie?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Like forehead.
Yeah, I believe so. All right. What else, guys? I'm getting beat up here. Mm-hmm.
I think my gating is like one of those wrestler things with a wall. You see those? It's like an L. It's a cushion, and you mount that. It's like a
Oh, and if you know anybody that's selling a dummy for like $10, hit me up.
And it just stays up against the wall. Oh, okay. Like it goes like this.
I think people were talking about, and I just remembered, the entry to honey hole that Lynn was doing with David on her new video that she posted. I think it's an entry from Ashi to honey hole. And it's just the leg switch.
Just a leg switch from Ashi to honey hole?
Yeah. Some people really like that.
From standing.
So,
from standing. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. I was from sitting.
Standing.
Oh, yes. So basically,
that leg switch that everybody gets confused with.
Yeah, so we shoot in for the hip. I go for the Ashi position. Let's rotate around this. Yeah, cool. All right, so we're in Ashi guard position. Now we're looking to go. I gotta check out. Okay, so there's a lot of ways. I mean, I'm gonna get bogged down here. I don't want to. So
since they're not asking shit,
yeah,
we're gonna give.
Okay, cool. So,
thing.
So the first thing about Ashi grounding position, right? You have to have your feet flexing. You need to be pinching your knees, closing out space. Always going to the outside. You don't want to be facing him. Okay, always try to get to the knees going out, and then you want to be doing a pull up on his leg. He should feel a lot of pressure on his hip right here. If you're just doing this, then there's nothing. You want to bring your hips up and then clamp and connect to him. Okay, his back foot is very important. I won't go into that, but making him fall if that's your goal. But what's going to happen is Ivan's going to peel my foot off. Now, as he starts peeling my foot off, and notice how he's peeling it, right? You always target the bone here. Don't try to grab the heel and start trying to pull it off like that, right? So target that because it makes it very uncomfortable for me. As he's doing this, I need to open up and swing around. Okay, so it's not this like I'm not putting my foot down and then trying to bring my knee in and then trying to bring my knee out and then do this. It's like my knees actually, think of your knee staying stationary. So when he peels it off, watch my knee stays. My knee just stayed the entire time, right? It didn't move. Basically, we're in an X guard position, okay? X guard position is obviously a great position to be in, but if we're trying to get to the honey hole, what I need to do is use the X guard position to actually tilt him, okay, one way or the other. I always say X guard, and when you're in X guard, you can't just stay stationary. You have to be constantly pulling and pushing, right? Trying to sweep, trying to do that. If you just stay stationary, he can easily step out of this, okay? So what I'm gonna do is take my outside hand, and I'm gonna cup his leg. I usually go for a little ligament that's right here, and I pull him as I kick with my knee this way. So I basically just want him to post, right? So boom, that's all I want, just him to post. Now, once I get to this position, it really depends on how far back he goes. If he falls back this way, we'll naturally reap and go this way. If, on the other hand, he posts a little closer like he is now, I'm going to switch my feet. So the X guard that I was in, I will always take my bottom foot, slide it down, retract my bottom foot. I started teaching it this way because even if I lose this, I still have this hook between his legs. Okay, I don't want to retract this one. That's different. So I always slide my top foot down, retract my right, and go over the top. And once I get over the top, I slide everything up and I grab the top of his thigh. Like I'm grabbing it around his butt. Now the next step is I'm gonna pull my knees to my chest because I can't, it's actually gonna be hard if I'm gonna try to lift him up like this and he's out here. I need to bring him to me. You see that? Bring my knees to my chest. Now he becomes very light because he's supporting all his weight here. Now I simply straighten my outside leg, allow him to fall, and then regain the honey hole position. Good knee line, good distance here. I'm already controlling the outside leg, so there's no way for him to wiggle from here. And then we can work our leg up. So one more time without all the mumbo jumbo. Get in, boom, heels it, boom, grab, tilt, knees, lift, switch, up, boom, boom, boom. Is that it? Yeah. Might have said a couple of those things backwards, but that was essentially it.
This is one of the tighter, in my opinion anyway, one of the tighter honey hole positions, man. Once, because I think it's just because you have you're working with gravity and you elevate your opponent and then you just all of a sudden you let it drop and you shoot that leg through and they just fall right in that pocket. It's really hard to escape this specific variation, especially right.
Well, and that too, fall into your side too, right? I always tell people when you go for this particular entry, you have to anticipate that your partner or your opponent is already going to be looking to escape, unless they don't know anything about leg locks. They're going to be looking to free their knee line and do all this other and do other things to kind of loosen the position up, or at least try to escape. So that's why I always put my knee down next to their hip, because in my opinion, it's a much more controlled position, especially controlling the outside leg along with everything. It just seals everything in. If my knee's up, just one more a slight demonstration here. Let's go to honey hole. So when we landed, when I landed in honey hole, let's turn this way. I had the outside leg here. This is how I landed, right? This is very important, okay? Along with the top leg, okay? If I didn't have the top leg, I'm just adding layers now to the control. But if I didn't have the top leg, I would still want my knee down, okay? The reason why that is because when we fall to the honey hole and I just automatically go here and I start to go, he has a movement for his hips. His hips can start moving around and he can start turning and rotating, okay? In this particular case, if I fall to my side and my knee's down on his chest and I have just minimal control here, it's actually, he can't really turn this. It's very difficult for him to start turning, number one. Number two, he can't come forward. Notice, see how this is a shield here? If my knee's up, that's different. Now I can get smashed, right? You can switch it on me. There's no opportunity to do those two things here with this knee down. So that's why I always say, during a scramble or whatever, into a leg lock entry, you want your knee to be down because you want him to start actually pressing this to actually gain space, right? I don't want to just give it to him right off the bat. So always have the knee down. Now you may be asking yourself, well, what if they grab your head, right? Or here, he's grabbing my neck. This is nothing. He hasn't gained any position, number one. He hasn't gained anything from that. He's actually pulled himself tighter into the position. Nothing's going to change. And it's not going to submit me. If he just pulls and pulls, this is an easy shot. I mean, I just target his elbow and I push it, and that's not really a hold.
I call that the amateur defense.
Yeah, it's kind of a Hail Mary. They're just like, oh shit, they just kind of grab, right? It's just like or they'll, or they start playing the hands. They start grabbing hands and all this other stuff. Well, that's like a last resort in general. So, yeah, that's it.
Honey hole stuff.
You notice how I slightly moved away from the camera when they said honey hole? I was like, oh shit.
We're going to be here a while.
All right. That's a real man's conversation. We get out of this one.
So Aaron asked what's a favorite wrist lock setup for you guys?
I don't have any,
I don't have wrist locks. Ivan's got a good one.
Ivan's got.
I'll show you mine. Just
I got
because
a couple that I do, but I don't do it.
I get it. I get it a lot, but Aaron may have already know what it is. I mean, it's here.
This is a good one.
Every time somebody grabs my wrist and kind of pins him down, I'm always here. I'm always just coming here because it looks like I want to go to the side, right? So all I do is come in, genie, and I like to close my fist, and then just crunch in, but crunch in here as well. Boom, on the wrist lock. So
I like to keep my friends. That's why.
This is the nail.
It's quite simple. It's really quite simple.
Yeah.
You're just kind of trapping it. If they don't, I mean, I showed a variation to where you
I have to pull away.
Yeah.
It gives you
So
space.
if I'm here, boom, and I come in here, and
then
it
I'm
kind of
like,
hurts.
pull.
Boom.
It gives some
Then I
space.
come in, and I go for my heel hook, which is, it doesn't keep me any friends either, but but in the gi is a lot easier.
Yeah, and the gi, there's a lot of wrist locks in the gi.
People will just grab your collar here, and all you do is just kind of pull them into you.
That's a good one. That's an interesting one. If I let's just say, for instance, this was a gi top, and he reaches in for a lapel. There's one where I could grab the back of his tricep and pull him in. If his arms, if it's locked, it's a little harder. But typically, there's a little bend in their arm that way. Get back here, pull it in, get the tap that way.
Thanks, Aaron.
Most people do that move. Actually, I saw, if you guys are familiar with Carlos Diego Ferreira, he's got a school in South Texas. He's originally from Brazil, in Far, Texas. He's an Atos guy, and he's a UFC fighter. Anyways, great fighter, great jiu-jitsu guy. I saw him do this in a tournament in Houston a long time ago. I can't remember his opponent. Maybe Jason Solis. But anyway, yeah, just grab the back of the tricep, just pulled in, and it's a tight move. It's a tight submission. Especially because you have 2-on-1, you have both hands behind the tricep and you're pulling, and honestly, your wrist can go either way. I had a friend of mine, I think Jason McAtee did this to me once, where sometimes, like, if your wrist isn't strong, man, like, it could go either way, go this way or back this way, and I can't figure out which one's worse, but they're both very painful.
If you want to check where I learned it from, Cody Steele's got a video in there. If you want it, just let me know and I'll send it to you. He does it in the gi. Amazing. Like, the guy stands up, he goes in full guard. He comes up with him and he just kind of checks him, boom, and he gets the tap.
That one went like viral on Instagram.
After I saw that, then I started working on this one that I showed you because I wanted to do it in no gi. But besides keeping your friends away from you,
there's
I also think there's positions that there's always going to be wrist locks there. Like, if you find yourself in a triangle position, or not you in a triangle, but you doing a triangle with somebody, there's always a wrist lock there. There's always a wrist lock.
I guess armbar.
Armbar. There's always a wrist lock.
Aaron, you can always switch your armbar to a wrist lock.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm in a regular armbar, however it is, all right. So I always like to get my armbars here, and I like to target the bicep anyway. I always bring this down, but you can always grab in here, and do the same thing and do the wrist lock as you're getting the armbar. That's beautiful. Because I know there's people that grab it here, but then you don't have that much control of the arm. So if you're here and you're fighting for this armbar, all you have to do is slide it a little bit further. You just bring that wrist down, and as he's freaking out, then you get your armbar, and you still have the control right here to get it and get your hips up. So you can always switch the armbar to a wrist lock if that's what you really want to do in tournaments and stuff like that. But yeah, don't do it to me though. And yeah, because I do that wrist lock to Jimmy a lot.
You could actually, the one where you're grabbing the lapel, that wrist lock. I know that I had an old training partner of mine where I grabbed I was in his guard and I grabbed his belt and he did the same thing. He pulled, and man, it was tight. I was a white belt.
And you just crunch in.
Yeah,
it happened to me a couple times when I first started.
It's a very good. It's one of those things like when you cross your feet. When you have somebody's back and then you cross your feet, they ankle lock you. It's that same hard lesson that you learn.
Yeah.
by doing that when you grab somebody's belt and close.
There is a trick though. You can actually get out of the cross legs now.
Yeah.
You know the trick for that?
Please show me.
Yeah. Here's a little a secret I learned.
Am I taking your back?
No, you take.
Okay.
I'll take your back. So I actually I don't teach this, but I actually cross my legs now. So it's actually I know that's a bad thing. It used to be I'd only cross my legs if I was high on the guard or high on the back, right? If my feet were up high. So if I had Rudy's back and I just happened to find myself like way up here and I can cross my feet up here fairly safely, right? It's not too big of an issue. The issue is if my feet are like between his hips and I cross. Like as soon as Rudy throws his foot over, here, boom, boom, and then he bridges his hips. Now, the key here is just what he just said right there, which is when he crosses over my foot, he bridges his hip. So how do we stop that? How do we stop him from bridging his hip? We don't pull on him, because the more I pull on him, the more it brings his hip to where he wants his hip to be, and then I'm going to tap. So I actually need to go the opposite direction. Anything, if you know, like with back control, you know, this is technically me crossing my feet here and pinching my knees together. This is actually very hard for him to get out of if that move didn't exist, right? If he couldn't throw his leg over for whatever reason. This is actually difficult because I'm wrapped around him. It's like a body triangle. If I had a body triangle, it's very hard for him to get out of this, right? It's the same thing in a way that it's closed off is what I mean. If I just have this open here, he can start playing around. But if I close it off, then there's a problem. So the trick here is that I'll do this and I'll start fighting for position, right? Whether I'm going for the knuckles, going for the neck, whatever. I already know they're going to throw their feet over. He starts to throw his foot over. Here, get it, and then he starts to bridge. As soon as he starts to bridge, I take this hand, or whichever one, and I press his head back forward. So now if he bridges his hips,
Yeah, it's hard.
there's literally zero pressure on my leg. What they soon start to realize is that doesn't work. So they'll either unlock it. If they don't unlock it, I just keep pressing their head forward here. I'll start going into like a Nelson and all this stuff, and that gets into something different. But usually what happens is they go for it, I press their head forward, and then they try to bridge their hips, and they keep going and going and going. Nothing's happening. I start to maybe better my position a little bit, and then they release it, and then I go back. So, and they really won't target that again, right? So, just a little trick.
I like that.
Yeah, it's pressing. All I'm doing is taking the back of his head, and I'm pressing him forward like this, so that he can't bridge his hips backwards. So you can cross your legs. I wouldn't teach you to do that, but if you find yourself with your legs crossed, or you want to play around with it and just see what happens, it really is. You'll notice there's really no pressure on it. Just literally stiff arm his head forward, and he can't bridge it back. Side note.
So I think we got about 10 more minutes if you guys want to ask any other questions. We hope that this quarantine thing is over pretty soon. We can get back to regular training. I'm going crazy.
I'm done.
And we're pretty much done this whole quarantine stuff.
Can't do it anymore. Gotta get out, do something. I was riding my skateboard yesterday.
I was doing pull-ups the other day. Who am I?
That's when you know Jiu-Jitsu is down for the count. When Ivan is weight training and
I'm gonna
doing
get fucking
workouts.
swole. Just like,
It's going, Jack.
I'm gonna be like Adam Dobie.
Adam made fun of me the other day because I was looking on Facebook for bumper plates, and he was like, "Bro, you don't even need a lot." I was like, "Thanks, thanks, big bro."
Oh, Mallory's like, hello.
What's up, Mallory? We miss you.
She's going out now. She's got to work, I guess. Oh, so I think Craig Jones and Vinny Magalesh are gonna go at it today. What do you think?
Oh, that's gonna be a tough one, man. They're both like leg lock specialists and both strong and technically sound. I don't know. What do you think, Ryan? Shoot, that's gonna be a tough.
I mean, your
match.
role with Craig.
No, yeah. I think the side. I mean, I thought Vinny was a lot bigger than Craig Jones. That's not Rudy or Ivan. We were talking about that earlier. I was like, I thought he was like fought at like a heavyweight. Was he like a heavyweight fighter? Fought at a heavyweight or something?
Well, you know,
It wasn't a middleweight, right?
Where is he at now? I mean,
I think it was 205.
Yeah, 205, right?
I think it was 205 or 185.
So it's 205, but Craig didn't strike me as 205 or even the that range. So maybe like maybe 500. Anyways, I just thought he was just kind of big, but I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. He's still Craig Jones. He's still a big dude.
They're both technicians.
Super technical.
Yeah.
I think it'll be interesting. I don't know. I will say I don't think Vinny will probably engage in the leg locks with him. I don't think, even though he's actually very flexible. I was actually surprised how flexible he is, Vinny, and how good he is. But he had a recent match with a leg locker. Who was it? Was it Gordon Ryan?
Vinny?
Yeah. Who did he have a match with about like
I know you're
a
talking
year or so ago? But he didn't engage the legs at all. Like he just kind of stayed back.
Well, wasn't it Gordon?
It was Gordon, right?
Gordon, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't. I mean, it is Gordon. I mean, it's Gordon Ryan, of course, but still, he was kind of like just playing back.
Yeah.
Away. And Craig Jones is, I mean, when Gordon Ryan and Craig Jones had a great match. I thought. I mean, that was crazy.
Yeah.
You know, with Rose on.
So I don't know. I don't see him maybe doing. I see maybe some rubber guard or being played maybe.
Right. They're going to feel. I think they're going to fill each other out for as long as they can, and then maybe at a specific moment where you will just see some firecrackers and they'll just start unleashing, at each other. But I don't see them going for the gusto right off the bat. It's one of those things that I imagine them feeling each other out, just like a first round in a Muay Thai match where they're just kind of like, stepping in with caution.
Yeah.
Best way for me to put it.
Well, I think if I had to pick somebody, I'd say Craig Jones, just from what I've watched of him and what I've watched him over the years.
Yeah.
But Vinny, I mean, they're both freaking.
I think it's going to
monsters.
overtime.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be able to submit him. And I think,
Is it EBI rules?
yeah,
Oh.
it's Cho Sonnen's promotion.
Is it one round, like 10 minutes, or what is it?
I think so. I think it's 10 minutes and then overtime. But I don't know. And nobody knows what they're doing because it's quarantine. So
It's an island.
maybe
Mortal Kombat. Was it the?
Gotta keep it underground, man.
Yeah.
I don't want a fire marshal at your door.
Yeah. No, I would say if I had to pick somebody, I'd say Craig Jones. But you're right, it probably will go to
overtime. And then I'm the worst at picking fights. So
We'll go to
whoever wins is
overtime.
different.
I've never met Vinny, but dude, he looks jacked. I mean,
Yeah.
he looks really strong, and I know he's technically sound, so that's got to be.
Well, dude, and he's super flexible.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how flexible.
Yeah.
That's
Who was it that he get somebody in an armbar that was crazy, or did he get his arm almost broken? ADCC. Didn't
I don't know. How many years ago was it?
draw that. And then he did a flying triangle on Whiteman at ADCC as well.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
he was killing it at that MMA promotion.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I think it'll be fun to watch. Nogi, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it'll be really fun to watch. What's it on? Is it on
Fight Pass. We just
Fight Pass?
But anyway, I think that should be our time. It's about an hour. We'll do this again soon. You can rewatch it on YouTube, I think, and on Facebook. I hadn't thought about Facebook, and Rudy told me about it, so that was great. And you can rewatch it and go from there and get your questions or comments for the next one. Should be, hopefully, we'll do once a week for now.
Yeah.
We'll go live and go from there. But anyway, stay safe out there and wear your masks in public. And yeah, Rudy.
See you OTM on the mat. It was a pleasure hanging out with the fellas and just good catching up. And yeah, hope some of the info helped out a little bit. I got a buddy of mine, Fiends Rodriguez. He's a B-boy friend of mine, but he's also a wrestling coach in the Midwest. And man, thank you for your feedback, brother. I appreciate it.
Thanks everybody for your questions. We'll be talking soon. And this one, and then we'll end YouTube. Better YouTubes.